getting out of this.
Help, I'm pushing up.
Rotate.
Bruno, they're rotating back. They're rotating back. They're
They're gonna go. Just rotate, guys. Just rotate. Give it up. Just give it up.
Right.
Nice. Rotate.
They actually did it for the first time since 2018. The Greenwall are victorious. Whew. It is incredible. It is madness. Major 1 was so lit, and we are going to break it all down on episode 33 of The Rotation with Z-Hack. Greetings, and thank you for tuning in, everybody. How insane is that? You know what? We gotta do a little bit of celebration. Major 1 is here. We're going to pop the bottle, crack that, and cheers to OpTic, Texas, on the victory, the first one of the year. Someone finally did it. Somebody took down the Atlanta FaZe, and they did it not once, but they did it twice, and that's our first blood take. We are talking about Major 1. We are talking about OpTic and how incredible they were throughout the entire Major, making the run through the winner's bracket on LAN, no questions asked, the best team for the entirety. I don't even know where to start, and I'm going to rewind. Actually, I do know exactly where to start. Listen, everyone can say, oh, bandwagon, everyone's an OpTic fan, whatever. When I got into competitive Call of Duty, it was back in Black Ops 2. There wasn't, it was a big scene, not as gigantic as it is nowadays with a franchise league and everything, but Farico was dominant back then. Haggy was winning chips. You know the storylines. You know how it all goes. Now that I do a lot of broadcasting and reporting and the podcast, I keep a main one-way street lens. I try to stay unbiased with everything and all the analysis that I give, but I will leave you with the fact that when I got into competitive Call of Duty, everybody fell in love with OpTic. They were the only team out there providing inside coverage of what it looked like of an organization. How do you expect fans not to fall in love with that, not to be romantic about that, and get into it and have that be their favorite team? Nobody has done or will ever do it like Hex did, and he set the model, he set the landscape for esports, for teams, for organizations, and everything. So while I got into competitive Call of Duty, I've played Call of Duty forever. My first game was COD 4. My brother had the Xbox. I was dumb enough to purchase a Wii, but I would sneak onto his account. I'd ruin his KD because I was a little kid and I was bad. Then I got my own console for MW2. The rest is history. That's where I started playing, but then I got into competitive, and you type in Call of Duty at the professional level on YouTube, and what comes up? OpTic. It's the vlogs. It's Hex saying good morning. Every single video that you see when you type in competitive Call of Duty is OpTic this, OpTic that, and you get a behind-the-scenes look in the personality of the players and teams that go with it. You can't not fall in love with that. To get the inside scoop, to be eating your Cheerios and watching a vlog of the house. Vision, Hitch doing a great job on that. You get a documentary series and you get to follow this team and feel like you're a part of them. That's what the Greenwall is. That's the fan base that Hex has built, is feeling like you're actually a part of the team. And everybody that was at that major rooting for OpTic, I guarantee you that is where they fell in line. They didn't feel like a fan cheering for a team. They felt like they were a part of that team. So I have the OpTic limited edition championship Sunday white that I got on release. I have a Scump jersey that I've had for years. And I fell in love with OpTic for the content side of things. It's as simple as that. Nowadays, I like to, as I mentioned before, be unbiased. And when I look at things, I say, yeah, that team's pretty good. That team's pretty good. When I'm making my predictions, I do the exact same thing. So I want to make that clear. So you guys aren't in the comments, oh, OpTic fanboy this, OpTic fanboy that. Just type behind your screen, talking smack. That's not how it is at all, okay? Let's break down the major and how things actually went. How did OpTic do it? Well, there's a lot of stuff. They started in the winner's bracket, and as I went into this tournament with my pick'ems, I said it. I'm on the record saying I will not bet against FaZe until somebody beats them. FaZe have been the best team in the game for over a year. They were great in MW. They lost in champs to Dallas, but still, they have been a dominating force. They ran through everybody in Cold War. You could not anticipate anybody other than Atlanta FaZe being at the top. And guess what they do? They make it to the grand finals. Major 1, hosted by OpTic Texas. They win it on their own turf. You got to tip that. You have to tip that. It's absolutely insane what OpTic did. So let's break it down. They start in the winner's bracket. I'm going to pull it up here on the screen for you guys so we can run through this. So you take a look and we can see the bracket here as we read this article by .esports, but I'll zoom in there. The winner's bracket just stacked. FaZe, Boston Breach, OpTic, Surge, Royal Ravens, Gorillas, Thieves, and Ultra. OpTic ran through everybody. I saw the 3-0 over the Surge. The Surge started incredibly hot, but they had fallen off since then. So OpTic take care of business there. And then this is where the confidence came for them. This is where everything started. Round 2, they take on the Atlanta FaZe, down 2-0, and they reverse sweep them to stay in the winner's bracket. It was at that moment that I knew. I was like, whoa, they have the home field advantage. The crowd is getting lit there. There's alcohol. People are drinking. And OpTic just have a huge fan base no matter where you're at, who's hosting, whatever tournament it may be. A majority of the fans will be OpTic fans. When they reverse swept the Atlanta FaZe in round 2 and dominated them on Tuscan SND to end it, I knew. I was like, this weekend is different for these guys. Then they cruise past the Royal Ravens 3-1, and then you get to Championship Sunday. FaZe battle through the gauntlet. They make it look quite easy, to be honest. They take down Ultra 3-0, and then the London Royal Ravens 3-1. And then they meet OpTic in the grand finals, and it looked like they never stood a chance. I know there's the controversy of the Gavutu control where Arcides was lagging, skipping across, losing packet, and then OpTic had the crazy comeback where they were down like 8-20 in lives, and then they were able to hold on defensively. Then we had to replay the final round, and they made it look easy breezy, got through it. But that's just one map. Like, there was one flaw there with the system for Arcides. Other than that, OpTic dominated. I don't think that that's a good enough excuse to give me. They were the best team of the weekend. 5-2, they get it done and beat the Atlanta FaZe to win their first championship since 2018. Over close to like 1,000 days, I think the stat line was. Incredible stuff from OpTic. And as I mentioned before, you just have to tip it. There's no way you can't tip it. You have to. Sorry about the little cut there. I fat-fingered one of my transitions. But when we get back into everything, I want to break it down a little bit more so we know how OpTic got there. I want to talk about, first of all, the home field advantage. Major 1, hosted by OpTic, was an absolutely lit environment. VIP pass holders had an open bar, the ability to get lit. TST was there hyping up the crowd. OpTic had it from the get-go. That made me miss going to a LAN tournament. It had vibes of like Anaheim, just watching from home and seeing the crowd. A packed house, sold out. You know Hex and Hastro were going to put on an absolute show, and they did that. Their boys had the fan base on their side for the entire weekend. I think that's an incredible job by Hex and Hastro to get that home field advantage for this major, but those guys fed off the energy. You knew they were going to. The fans were going to be in it since the get-go, and it showed. A little bit more energy came through. You know, you get a big kill and you hear Bruce, or Illy does something, or Shotzi has a crazy kill, or King Scump does something, and the crowd goes wild. That gives you the energy on the main stage. When you know everybody is behind you and you can pick out the difference between boo and Bruce, you know everybody hates their opponents and everybody is rooting for them. That's the first thing. Lit environment, home field advantage. I don't know how big you can say that plays into it, but I think it was a pretty big deal. Other than that, with that big environment and the home field advantage, we got to take a break to talk about the idiots out there. When you're on a LAN tournament, rule number 1 when you're attending, Chance said it best. It's pretty easy not to be a jackass. Don't say, he's defusing! Because even though it's loud, they have their headset, they have noise canceling on underneath. They can still kind of hear things out of the back of the head. You're spectating it. Don't spoil it. Don't ruin anything. Don't give call-outs. That's just stupid. Keep the integrity of the game. They can calm. They can figure out where players are. Whoever's meant to win will be the winner. They don't need you helping, so don't do it. It's just dumb. And then it raises questions and says, they wouldn't have won if their fans weren't a bunch of cheaters. You don't have to do it. That goes for everyone. That goes upcoming at the Minnesota Rokkr Major, which is, we're on our way already in stage 2. If Atlanta FaZe were hosting, if Seattle are hosting, if LA Thieves are hosting, it's the same thing for every fan base. Everyone there. Just don't do it. So now to end the first blood, I want to get a little bit more analytical of the OpTic team. I think that they are just extremely scary this season. I think that OpTic Texas are a force to be reckoned with and the best team in the Call of Duty League right now. And it starts from the top. One of the biggest acquisitions that they made in the offseason was with the merger, getting Rambo as a coach. Him and Sender have two opposite styles of coaching, but they meet right in the middle to mesh well. On one side of thing, Sender will be a little bit more passive, and Formal has talked about this on the OpTic podcast, and he'll say, I think we could do this, this, and this, and he's extremely smart, but he won't come at you and cut your throat off, to whereas on the flip side of things, Rambo will say, no, we need to do things this way, and he'll call you out. He'll say, Seth, you need to do this. Shotzi, no, that is not the move I told you to make. Do it right or don't do it at all. So you get that side from Rambo, and Troy, his mind just moves a million miles an hour. He sees things that nobody else can see, and he can dissect a map like nobody else. With him and Rambo able to talk those things through, and then Rambo be the voice to get through to these guys, that's a great coaching staff, and that's what I mean when I say it starts from the top. Apart from that, the discipline of this team has gotten so much better. Even from the first matches that they played in stage 1, because I know it's a new roster. I know Shotzi and Illy weren't there in Cold War. It's a newfound look. But everybody is selfless on this team, and you see the tweets every single day during the major from OpTic. All their guys say, GG, Surge, we 3-0'd you. My teammates are cracked. Everybody is so selfless, and finally, I think they're understanding how to play Call of Duty as a team. And you see, when you're not selfish, when you're not going out to be the MVP and the star of the show, that's when you tend to win. You have the opportunity to succeed when you put yourself on the back burner, and to pull out a cliche, you play for the team on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. It's shown in the gameplay that OpTic are doing that more and more, and the player who impresses me most with it is Dashy. Dashy has had a bad reputation over previous years of being late to scrims, being undisciplined, and being a guy who's just like, oh yeah, I'm all about me, I'm better than you. He has matured so much, and a lot of you guys don't realize that. I think it's so good for him at this stage of his career because he's still so young. And he's matured so much just from last year to now. I think part of that is the harshness that Rambo can implement as a coach, things that Hex can say as an owner, and we saw Dashy's mom there. Good parenting has come through finally. And we've begun to see it. Because Dashy is one of those flashy players. He's a highlight reel guy. You get the sniper in his hand, he's going to go for the pick. He's going to play on an island, and he's going to try and dominate. And he's going to get blooded or blood for you. That's the kind of player he's been. But in this tournament, we've seen him playing so much more selfless. His IQ has flown through the roof. He's one of the most talented players in the Call of Duty League. His gun skill is bar none. Nobody can touch him. Like a 1v1, give me Dashy. The guy is cracked. But he hasn't been selfless in the past. He's matured so much, and he's touched a level to understand that I can sacrifice a little bit of my individual play to take the trade, to bait for Shotzi and let him make a move, run the route, and win the rotation. You saw it time and time again, and that is how OpTic Texas took down FaZe 5-2 in the grand finals and reverse swept them in the winner's bracket. At the end of it all, OpTic are the best team in the Call of Duty League right now. They've matured so much, their coaching staff is incredible, and they have a target on their back for the rest of the season, starting right now in Stage 2. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but OpTic, those boys are cracked, and I just broke down exactly how they have been doing it. The maturity has increased, the IQ is there, Scump taking a leadership role, and these guys are all insane on the map. They're winning their trades, they're winning their ones, and they're just playing intelligently, rotating perfectly. I mean, it's plain and simple, they're the best in the game right now. We'll get to that later. But for now, it's time to transition into the Barracks news and notes from around the league. So Major 1 is over. Where does that leave us? Right back into Stage 2. Wow. That was a quick turnaround. No break, no nothing. Take a deep breath, everyone. With me. Here we go. Take a sip. And now we're back into Stage 2. It's incredible. It started today as I'm recording this podcast. Actually, it started yesterday. Today's Saturday the 12th. First set of matches happened Friday the 11th. But we're right back into it. I love Call of Duty. I think that's pretty obvious with me hosting this podcast, talking to you guys on Twitter at ZHack16, and getting all that interaction. Call of Duty is the best esport in the world, in my opinion. I love it. I love the competitiveness, and we get right back into it in Stage 2. We're headed into the Minnesota Rokkr home series, and there's been a lot of things that have happened just this past week. The main two storylines we have to focus on stem from roster changes. Paris haven't looked too good. They got a win on LAN in the major, and then that was about all they had to show. Donnie Temp was exciting. He was talking his talk, walking his walk. But Paris have not looked incredible, and they make the roster changes for it. So Grvty and Jimbo had their debut today, actually, and Paris ended up getting 3-0'd. So maybe we thought it was going to work a little bit quicker with Temp and John kind of bringing them in, but they only had a couple days to scrim with that roster, and it didn't end up being too successful. I don't think you can hold Paris to that high standard when they've only had such a limited time to practice. You can't talk smack on these guys. You have to give them the opportunity. Two of the best players from the challenger scene getting an opportunity in the COD League. And honestly, they didn't look too bad. Like, they were running and gunning, sending them on an island. Like, Jimbo was flying around the map. Grvty was doing his part. I think it's just kind of the little intricacies and details that will allow them to find success. They played LAG. They got 3-0'd by them. I thought it was going to be a 3-1. I obviously didn't think that Paris were going to step right in with a new roster and be able to dominate, and it didn't happen. I think give it some time. They can find some success. They have a really tough matchup on Sunday against the Minnesota Rokkr, so maybe give it until week 2, but tough sledding ahead. They play the London Royal Ravens, who are one of the best teams in the league right now, and I think that's a perfect opportunity to transition in to the London Royal Ravens. They had to make a on-the-spot roster change as well. It's unfortunate to see Gizmo. He's going through some personal issues, so he had to go back home, and it was nice. Paul X got his shot back in the league. We saw him on London last season, and he got a short contract with the Royal Ravens and picked up right where he left off, actually. And this one surprised me. Excuse me. So the London Royal Ravens, they started their Stage 2 today against LA Thieves. LA Thieves have looked hot. They've struggled in the SND, but that's really been the one thing that we thought they needed to clean up on, and that was it. Not the case today. With a put-together mishmash roster, the Royal Ravens 3-0 the LA Thieves, and the Thieves got to go back to the drawing board because it did not look good for LA Thieves today in this matchup. The London Royal Ravens are dominant. They're one of those teams that plays incredibly smart. Afro and Nasty, those are two guys that you can kind of send on an island and trust no matter what, they can win their ones. When you talk about a control on Gavutu to say, those are the guys that you can say, all right, one of you go hit B, win a one-on-one engagement, start to hit time, we'll rotate over there from A, And then we can stack on the point, get the B, and then A is easier on Grvty. That's what we saw today. Nasty won a lot of one-on-ones. Afro did the exact same thing, P1. And this London Royal Ravens team, they are really fun to watch, and they are really damn good at Call of Duty Vanguard. It doesn't matter that Paul X has to sub in. He's one of the top players in Challengers. We know he was on a competitive roster in the Royal Ravens last year. And he shined as well. Like Apocalypse Hardpoint, that was Paul X's map back in Cold War, and now it's fun to see him kind of getting to make a run in the league again. I think that there is a spot for him, and he will find success. I don't know if it will be with the Royal Ravens, though, because their roster is so good right now. So when Gizmo gets back, him, Zero, Nasty, and then Afro, I don't think, even though Paul X is a great player and dominant, I just don't know if he'll fit into the equation there, but I want to see him get a starting spot on another team in the league. The final roster deal that we have to talk about as we're in stage 2 now. Wow, was I wrong headed in to Call of Duty Vanguard? I thought the Subliners were going to be one of the best teams in the league, and they just suck. I hate to say it, I do, but I have to be honest, and I have to say what's in front of me. The eye test is there. It's for real, not only for me, but for you, for the analysts, the casters, everybody out there, and even the team themselves. Clayster and Crim6 have tweeted and said frustrated. Crim6 has said, this is the lowest point I've been at in my professional career when it comes to Call of Duty. And I agree with it. The Subliners, they don't look good. And I was on the record at the beginning of Vanguard saying this roster is dangerous. I could see them winning championships. They are disappointing Hydra right now. They are wasting talent by losing matches. Hydra is on the pedestal of a simp, of an Abizi, of a guy like Capsidal who has been taking over the league. Right now, he's wasted talent because the Subliners are losing and they don't look like they know what they're doing. So they bring Neptune and Hydra back, and then Clay and Crim are there, and they have their first match of the week on Friday against the Royal Ravens, who, granted, are one of the best teams in the league. They get 3-1. They had a bad showing at the major, and it's continued. Like, sound the alarm for the New York Subliners. They have to figure something out. I don't know if it's a roster change. I don't know if it's a coaching change. I don't know if they need to understand the game more, but they do not look good. Don't put your money on them, and I feel bad for Hydra because he's one of the freshest young talents in the league and really the only successful player on that team. It's hard to watch, man. Those are some guys that I love. I love Clay. I love Crim. I love what they have done for the Call of Duty scene at a competitive level. It's very hard and it hurts my heart to watch them struggle, but I have to tell it like it is. They aren't playing well. Neptune and Hydra, a couple young players, they're stuck right now. They play Florida tomorrow on Sunday. I see another 3-1 on the side of Florida. They've started to hit their stride. It's crazy. Florida have been excelling. They won a big 3-0 against the Gorillas, then the Gorillas bounced back today. But those are the top teams that I think are kind of struggling right now. And then there's a few heading up into the top tier, upper echelon, that you have to watch out for. I'm going to kind of filibuster here because I think now that I'm talking about it and what teams are struggling, what teams are excelling, I kind of want to make a tier list. So we can get into that at the end of this episode number 33 of The Rotation with Z-Hack. Let me know in the comments down below who you think the hottest team is right now. Don't say OpTic. Who you think the hottest team right now is, and then the struggling team in the league. I know Nameless has caught a lot of flack for who he's been talking about, but it's just kind of nutty what's going on throughout the Call of Duty League. So as I get this tier list maker up, I want to bring up one of those teams that is playing excellent right now, and that's the Boston Breach. Where is their team pack, by the way? I want it. I want to represent the Boston Breach when I'm playing ranked play in Vanguard. I love that team. I love the brand. I love the personalities and the players on their team. And I love Big Cap. Capsidal is a stud. Like right now, he is making a case to be Rookie of the Year. 54 kills on Bocage, Bocage, the Cage, whatever you want to call it. Capsidal has broken the record. The guy is a menace on the map. He's dominating. And for the first time in a long time, Zinni is having fun with these young guys. I love it. They 3-1 Seattle in their first match of Stage 2. And they're a sneaky team. Like, I think they're somewhere top 4, top 5 in my opinion. I love the Boston Breach and how they're excelling, and they talked about it. In the interviews during the Stage 1 Major, it was kind of just like, we have to play as a team. That's what we have to do. We have to get our comms right. We can win our gunnies, but we got to play as a team. That's what Nero said in his interview when Clint Maven was talking to him, and I 100% agree. Everybody knows their role on that team, I think, is the biggest part. Like, Cap is a solid sub, Nero the exact same, and then TJ has kind of filed in there into a little bit of a flex role, and then Zinni, he knows where he stands. Like, post up with the AR, do what you got to do. And his performances haven't always been the best stat-wise, but what he does and the kills that he picks up influence the map and the way that it's played. Boston Breach are probably my favorite team to root for this year, and I don't know how you can't love them. The brand is good, the Twitter interaction is great, and the players are awesome. I want to buy a jersey. I want to buy their team pack in Call of Duty Vanguard and represent them. So get their team pack in. I bought the Minnesota Rokkr team pack just because I love those guys. I love Standy. I love Major Maniac, Priesta, Attach. I love the roster. And then purple is dope. Like, it's just one of my colors. I like purple. They have the coolest skin, in my opinion. So that's what we go for. Let's go ahead and talk predictions here for the rest of this weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen over real quick. Bear with me. I know I fumbled it the first time around. So we'll get in here. You can kind of see my log. Guys, look at this. We're on, let's see, 40 pages of show log for the rotation with Z-Hack. We've been doing this for a long time. Episode number 33 today, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So let's see here. Call of Duty League teams. Let's see if we can get that up here. Call of Duty League 2022. Will that be a good tier list for me? Where are they? Okay, perfect. So that'll be the tier list that we do at the end of the episode. But first, we're going to go into our pick'ems here. And we'll break everything down. So day one, I was pretty close to perfect. The first two, I had map count and team win. And then the final, I had Mutineers winning it in tight one, 3-2, and then LAG disappointed, and they just got smoked plain out. That's crazy to me. I saw London winning 3-1. I saw Breach with 3-1. Seattle are struggling. Like, that's one of the teams we got to talk about. And then LAG, I think they're somewhere in the middle of the pack. They have a lot of potential, but they struggle sometimes map to map. They fumble easy things. And I think Mutineers are improving. So that's kind of where I broke that down. Move on to today. The Royal Ravens are for real. I thought LA Thieves were a better team, but they are struggling. You can see like a little bit. They're making small mistakes in their respawns, and then the search and destroy just isn't great. I think they lost to Berlin today. And that's a map that the Royal Ravens have actually been struggling on. We saw it throughout the major, but they stepped up and they won where they needed to. And I think Paul X was actually a big part of that. He's a good search and destroy player. I think he helped carry them to a victory. He picked up the final kill of the final round to close that one out. So I think Paul X is a big piece to fill in, and he's kind of the sub that you want, and he's the one that they got. So I think, Paris continue to struggle with the roster change. It's just too soon to have any proof of improvement. So Gorillas 3-0 them today. London 3-0 LA Thieves. And then Minnesota, I picked them in this series 3-2 just because Toronto have been struggling with their hard point. They didn't win a single hard point throughout major number one. They look to clean things up today. The first map hardpoint in this series, I was watching it. I think it was on Tuscan. Minnesota looked really good. They got it out to a hot start, and then they just kind of choked things, and Toronto ran away with it. And then Toronto, they look really good in control and search right now. I think control is probably their strongest mode. So if they can step up in hardpoint, they are a team to watch out for. So they 3-1 Minnesota. Minnesota just has little things to clean up, and I think playing against Toronto is one of those hard teams. And then, like I said, I think Surge are struggling. I think I might have wanted to adjust this. I think FaZe might 3-0 them, but FaZe are still a top-tier team. They struggled with a little things. I think OpTic exploited a few of their weaknesses, but just because OpTic can do that, I don't think other teams will necessarily be able to exploit weaknesses on the side of Atlanta FaZe. We step into Sunday. I think Minnesota 3-0 Paris. Like, I think they bounce back today. I think their respawn is a little bit better than Paris, and the search and destroy is probably Minnesota's strongest game mode. I think they struggle with control over anything. Man, I talked about it already. New York and Florida, the return of Nep2 playing against his old team. I just don't think they get it done. New York have not looked good. They haven't made the adjustments. They're kind of clueless right now. I think they get 3-1 by Florida. If anything, they probably pick up a control. But I think Big Wake and Skies are too good when it comes to getting first bloods in search and destroy, and then also in hardpoint. They've kind of stood out. And Dave Patty, another rookie to watch out for. OpTic versus Thieves on Sunday. I might change this one up. I might pick OpTic to 3-0 Thieves, but I think the heat of the moment, the Thieves will get into it a little bit more. The rivalry will kind of boost them up, get them hyped for the matchup, and I think maybe give them a map, probably give them a control. They'll try and play Gav. We'll see how the picks and bans go, but I think OpTic, they win that series 3-1. I'm looking good to start stage 2 with picks. I dropped these two. I think FaZe will win, and I'll probably go perfect on Sunday. So we're starting off hot. We can kind of fast forward. You guys want to look at this, or let's do a tier maker? I might try to get another episode in before these second matches, week 2 start, the end of this week. So I'm going to leave this one out. But right now I'll tell you, highlight this match, Royal Ravens versus FaZe. Breach versus Minnesota will be another good one. And then Ultra and Atlanta FaZe. Wow, there's a lot of good matches week 2, actually. Both of Breach's matches will be one to watch out for. Both of Rokkr's matches, and then FaZe against Ultra, FaZe against Royal Ravens. I like everything I see. Week 2, finna be lit. Wow, stage 2, week 2. Mark it down on your calendar. Let's have some fun, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get in, let's have some fun, and let's be a gas bag. That's what radio is. That's what podcasts are. It's just being an absolute gas bag, speaking your mind, throwing out your opinion. Oh, I say this team's better than that team, and then that team goes on to get smoked, and you're completely wrong. But I do it for the entertainment, baby. I do it because we all love Call of Duty, and we want to talk about it together. Let me see how I think this looks in OBS real quick. Yeah, I think that's going to be perfect. Where we're set up, let's go ahead and do this tier list. Can I find it? Hello? We're back. Starting off in the S tier, I mean, it's pretty obvious. OpTic Texas are just running over everybody. Shotzzy is in his form. His movement is on point. His gunny is on point. We talk about the win for OpTic in the S&D on Berlin. What a spot from him to get Arcitys off the bomb, and then they pull off the big win. Like, he was up top, then he wall bangs the bomb. What? The IQ. And then, like I said earlier in my first blood take, Dashy, Bruce, whatever you want to call him, he has matured so much. He's become a selfless player, but he's still one of the most talented when it comes to gun skill. And then Scump gonna be Scump, Illy, a search and destroy god. That's where he started in the S&D scene when he was a kid, running tournaments. You know, you see him, you see Teddy Rex, you see Major Maniac against Nick Merckx, Gage, Neo, like, those are the roots for Illy. He's going to dominate in S&D, and he's become a great player. His comms are elite. I like the way that he hypes the guys up, too. He's one of the hype men that is underrated in the Call of Duty League. OpTic just have everything clicking for them right now. They're the best team in the league. They're S tier. I place them in S tier probably all by themselves, actually. Like, they just look too good, too dominant. Then we get into the A tier, these other teams that are competing at a high level. I think the London Royal Ravens are the first ones there, and they proved it through this first week of Stage 2. Not having their entire squad, when you head back over, shout out to breakingpoint.gg. These guys are on top of their game with stats. You can do fantasy over there. They are one of the sites that's the best. But Gizmo, he's been an integral part of this roster, and being out and having Paul X to be able to come in, it shows that this team is for real. Like, to be able to plug and play somebody else and win your match, that's pretty incredible, because we see how hard it is to make a roster change with a team like Paris as they continue to struggle. The London Royal Ravens, they're for real, man. Watch out for them. You can't go back to Modern Warfare in 2019 and Cold War and say, yeah, the Royal Ravens, they've sucked. They've been one of the laughing stocks of the Call of Duty League. No, they are an A-tier team this time around. Watch out for the London Royal Ravens to be something special and continue to play well. The next A-tier team that I put here, the Atlanta FaZe. Obviously, they make it to a grand finals. Everybody anticipated them to be there. Maybe it wasn't from the losers bracket, but you know that Crowder will get these guys straight. They probably went over a lot of VOD. They probably let the dust settle. Okay, we lost. It'll sting. Let it sit for a little bit. Then they got right back into scrims, right back into VOD review. They're not going to miss a beat. Like, those guys, they want to compete. They want to win. MC, Abizi, Simp, Arcides, they're winners. They're champions. We know they are. They love that taste. They love the glory. They're not skipping a beat, and they're not falling off at all. Next team, especially after today that I put in the A tier, Toronto Ultra. It looks like they're starting to improve on their hard point, and they can be extremely dangerous if they become consistent in that game mode. Their control is one of the best in the Call of Duty League. Their search and destroy is crispy. Like, they can put Insight and CleanX on an island and they can win their ones. And then you pick up the first blood, it spirals, you win the SND. We saw today Minnesota was up big on them in S&D, and they rattled off like 4 or 5 straight rounds. They ended up losing, but they can turn it around quickly. So if they continue to improve on their hard points, they start to win map ones, they're going to be a problem for a lot of teams in the Call of Duty League. I think, oh man, this is tight. I think I want to place another team up here, maybe 2. I think even though they've been struggling lately, the LA Thieves, you know what? I'm going to separate this. That's the A tier. Those guys are on a different level. OpTic on a different level from everyone else. Those 3 teams are the A tier teams. Then you get down to the B tier. I think LA Thieves, they're right on the verge of B and A. They just have to clean some things up. Like, they have to improve at search and destroy, plain and simple. Those guys can fry. Like, we know Kenny, Octane, Draza, and Envoy, they can fry when it comes to the respawns. They've been pretty dominant when it comes to control. But the search and destroy, like, it wins championships, and they've been struggling with it. I think that's a game mode that they have to clean up, and they've shown some chinks in the armor on the respawns. They've lost a couple controls now. They've lost a couple hard points. So I think that the LA Thieves have a little bit to clean up, and I think that's what takes them out of the A tier, but they're right on the verge for me. Next team in the B tier starts with the B, Boston Breach. I love these guys. They're the underdog story. They're the Dark Knight, whatever you want to call it. And I think they're a fan favorite. Everybody loves Zinni. You know the guy. Stream! I saw it the other day. He posted on Twitter. He got an email from his landlord at his apartment complex. He had noise complaints from his stream going crazy. They said, quote, "Your neighbors have been complaining about loud noises and screaming every 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm just like, yep, that's Zinni. That's him streaming. So the fans love to see him compete. They love to see him back in the league. And I think that Nero is a quiet guy, but he's a talented guy who knows his role on the team. And then Cap has become a fan favorite. And I think what this team needs to go from B to A to S is just consistency from TJ. Like, TJ can fry and TJ can be at the bottom of the leaderboard. He's got to find his standard spot somewhere in the middle there, and then his top tier play on that top level. I think that's the difference maker for the Boston Breach, but they are a team to watch out for, and I think a lot of opponents fear them. I think 2 more teams can probably fall into this, well, maybe 3 teams, to be honest. I think the Minnesota Rokkr fall into the B tier. I've already talked about them. I think their search and destroy is crisp. They just got to clean up the respawns. I mean, plain and simple. You play 3 respawns a series. If you force it 5 maps, 2 S&Ds. They've struggled with hard points, and then the control hasn't been too strong. They may eventually need to make adjustments, but I still think that the Minnesota Rokkr are in that B tier and can match up against these other teams. A team that's improving a lot are the Florida Mutineers. I think they're on the same level here. Like I said, Skies and Awakening have been really good. And then I'm curious, actually, to see the statistics on Dave Patty throughout the season because he has been playing incredibly well. Like, him and Vivid have been a duo to watch out for. Yeah, these guys right around even when it comes to hardpoint. You get into S&D, Dave Patty a 1.0, and then when you look at control, Vivid has struggled a little bit, but that's where these guys kind of excel when it comes to picking up kills. So, realistically, Florida have started to improve, and they're another roster who have started to kind of get hot. You know, the change was made the start of the season. You get comfortable with each other. You start to play with one another. And now I feel like Dave Patty and Vivid are finding a way to open up room on the map for Skies and Awakening and let them slay out. And that's where the success will come for this team. Everyone has to figure out their strategy. That's what it is for these guys. Next up, right on the verge here, I'm going to throw them into the B tier, but CB level are the Gorillas. I think that they just have so much talent and leadership. Slasher, Hook, Asim, those guys are pretty nasty. Like, they can make some moves around the map, and I think that comfortably, like, if we're ranking these by numbers, like 1 for OpTic, probably 2, 3 a toss-up between London and FaZe, 4 for Ultra, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is probably a good spot for LAG. I think every team in front of them, they probably lose to if they play against those teams. When you look at their team on breakingpoint.gg, it's kind of fun to see LAG playing a little bit better because they were another one of those kind of laughing stocks of the league. Slasher has been really good for this team when it comes to leadership, but Gunless has kind of taken over as the AR role, and when they win maps, like, he is performing well. He has streaks, things of that nature, and I think he's really the X factor here. Him and Asim, when they're turning up, that's what's good. Search and Destroy is where this team struggles. Like, LAG, that's where they sit probably closer to C, but I'm throwing them in B. They need to pick up on S&D. Other than this, just below, I think Seattle Surge are in C, and then the Subliners on the bottom of the leaderboard and Paris round out the worst team in the league. Seattle got a hot start, and then they've struggled since then. I think they have, obviously, some adjustments to make. They've been losing maps badly now, and I think that just comes with the young talent. They're kind of streaky. So they got to get hot, pick up kills, get confidence, and then I think that's when they excel on the map. Subliners, like I said, they've gone through like 3 roster changes already. They just can't find something that's comfortable. I don't know what the secret sauce is for them, but they look really bad, and it kind of breaks my heart because Paco is one of those guys you want to root for. Neptune is a good player, and then the veterans, like Clay and Krim, the winningest players in Call of Duty history. 3-time champions. You can't throw dirt on their name, but they are not playing well so far in the Call of Duty League this season. Paris, I mean, it speaks for itself. Give them time for the new roster change to have a little bit of practice with one another. Maybe they jump into that CB range, but this is what I have. Take the screenshot. Tell me what you think. These are my power rankings as we are in Stage 2 for the Call of Duty League teams. Give me a Boston Breach team skin. Thank you very much. The final segment of the day will bring myself back full screen. I love you guys. I have so much fun doing this podcast. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know in the comments down below. But look here. If you guys haven't had Peach Ale by Four Peaks Brewing Company, do it. Do it. Probably my favorite beer. It's so good. We're going to end the show now. I've kept you guys for a little bit, probably a little bit longer than I wanted to. So I apologize, but thank you for bearing with me. But now we have to hop in to a segment that I think everybody knows is coming, but maybe you guys can help me out. Maybe you guys can get hype. Maybe you can think in your bedroom, in your car right now, if you're watching this on YouTube, listening on Spotify, whatever it may be, say it along with me. I want you guys to all say it along with me. Here we go. The final segment of the show. Let's hear it. I got to ask my good friend and Major 1 champion, Scumpy, who's the best in the game? This one, for me, it's plain and simple. It's pretty obvious. It's easy. He was the Stage 1 Major MVP, the best player on the map, able to take over, able to dominate, getting kill after kill. His mom was there to hype him up, chant MVP for her son. How cool of a story is that? But Dashy, Bruce, is the best in the game. A 1.18 overall KD, and we saw his statistics. I mean, he is in Black Ops 4 form. The guy's dominating on the map. He's slaying out. He's hitting snipes. He's frying with the automaton. The casters are going wild for him. Dashy is the best player in Call of Duty right now, playing in the best team. OpTic Texas are the best. Dashy is the best. He's doing it in all three game modes. He's playing selfless. He has matured. He's sacrificing himself for trades for other teammates. And he's also taking over maps, getting streaks, winning power positions, doing everything right. Rambo has to be so satisfied with his gameplay from a coach's perspective as well as sender. Dashy is the best in the game, ladies and gentlemen. OpTic are the best in the game. You don't want to run into those guys if you're any other team in the CDL, and you specifically do not want to run into those guys when you are playing ranked play. I hope you guys are all having fun with ranked play. I'm having a grand old time with it. Final thing I want to mention before I get you guys out of here, shout out to the casters, everybody on the desk, the analyst, I could name all of you, Veli, Ali, Nameless, Study, Chance, Lando, Miles, Maven and Merc were back. It was incredible. Everyone loved them, got hype from them, and then Bryce and Ton to round it out. You guys were all amazing. You put on a show. Shout out to you. Also, the best in the game. I can tie you guys in with Dashy. You're on that level, right? But you guys all did an incredible job carrying a show, making it entertaining to watch from the couch. Esports Engine, I tweeted at you guys. Shout out to you for putting on one hell of a production. Great to watch from home. I want to be a part of the Call of Duty League broadcast team, one of these days, and I'm going to get there. I'm going to make it my mission, and I'm going to get there. Mark my words, everybody listening. I will be on the desk for the Call of Duty League one of these days. Once again, I appreciate you all for listening and watching episode number 33 of The Rotation with Z-Hack. Share it with your friends. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. You know you can find us anywhere. Everybody have fun watching the rest of Stage 2. I will see you guys again shortly. Don't you worry about it. We're going to have another podcast throughout Stage 2 prior to the Major. Trust me on that one. Thanks so much, everyone. I love you all. Let's keep growing the Call of Duty League, and I will see you next time. Peace.